Hi and welcome to Gamers Web. My name is Mark and today I'm going to take a look at Stargrave, the science fiction war games in a ravaged galaxy by Osprey Games, which is a brand new game that's only released today and has been causing quite a stir over the past few weeks. This game's by Joseph A. McCullough, who is the creator of and writer of Frostgrave, which is a very successful fantasy skirmish game. This is not the science fiction version, but a science fiction spin on using the rules from Frostgrave. So as I said, this is quite anticipated, so without further ado, let's have a quick look. Alright, so got our excellent cover, big robot facing some mercenary guys, and then on the back we have Stargrave, science fiction war games in a ravaged galaxy. In a galaxy torn by the last war, vast pirate fleets roam from system to system, robbing and extorting and rounding up slaves. Any attempt to form any kind of central authority larger than a city-state is quickly and brutally crushed. In this dark time, the only way to survive is to stay small and inconspicuous. Amid this chaos, however, thousands of independent crews manage to carry out their business. Smugglers, relic hunters, freedom fighters and mercenaries roam the dead stars in small ships, scratching out a living any way they can. In Stargrave, from Joseph A. McCullough, creator of Frostgrave, players control these independent operators, recruiting captains and first mates from a range of backgrounds, each with their own skill sets and abilities. The crews are made up from the toughest the galactic underworld has to offer: criminals, soldiers, hackers and adventurers from 1,000 different worlds. In both one-off games and ongoing campaigns, the crews will be tasked with a variety of missions, from recovery of lost technology to data heists and perhaps even striking back against the pirate fleets, whilst their victories bring them wealth and infamy, or they are destined to fall prey to the horrors that lie within the ravaged galaxy. Okay, I'm actually reading over the camera, so it's quite difficult for me to spot some things sometimes. Okay, right, so let's jump straight in. As I said, this is brand new. It's very highly anticipated because Frostgrave has been so popular, and recently Nico of Northstar Miniatures did a Kickstarter where you could get the game and loads of accessories and made a lot of money. I think it was something like I can't remember. I think it was like it was over £100,000. Well over £100,000 they made on it. Right, okay, so we have our contents: introduction, how to assemble your crew, the rules, campaigns, powers, scenarios, a bestiary, and then we have the quick references at the backs of the credits, crew sheet, power cards, templates, and quick references. Okay, so incoming transmission. In a galaxy torn apart by the last war, where pirate fleets roam from system to system, robbing and extorting and rounding up slaves, any attempt to form any kind of well, we've already just read that, so I suppose me reading it. Okay, so this is basically your introduction, which will tell you why this game is about, why this game came out, and the reason behind it, what you need to play. So first of all, first things first, this is a miniatures agnostic game, which basically means you're not stuck with any one set of miniatures from a manufacturer. So you can use anything that you have to hand. You don't have to buy specific figures. I'm not sure if it's a what you see is what you get, which is basically where if you say you've got a miniature that's armed with a flamethrower and doesn't have anything in his hands, he doesn't have a flamethrower, because you have to have the thing modelled on the miniature without reading through the rules fully. And literally, I've only just opened this. It arrived late last night, and I've not had a chance to look through it myself. But it allows you to use whatever figures you want. Now, a lot of people on the forums, which I will leave a link to all the forums down at the bottom here somewhere, a lot of people on the forums are using everything from old Games Workshop figures, faster figures, TSR, HeroClix, 3D printed figures, which is the way that I'm going. You name it, people have been doing it. And I'll also leave some links to some YouTube channels who've got some absolutely excellent coverage on their their actual channels. And one of these guys is the Tabletop Engineer over on YouTube. Absolutely amazing, done some brilliant buildings and terrain that goes with the game, and it's specific to each of the scenarios that you get in the game. Anyway, let's jump straight in. Okay, so as I say, it's miniatures agnostic, so it uses any miniatures you've got. And then this is just basically a brief overview of what you need. So the dice, this uses D20 and table. You can play, it plays on a 3x3 or a 2x2. You could even play it on a 4x6 if you wanted to. Terrain and crew sheets. Okay, so chapter 1 is all about assembling your crew. Some absolutely awesome artwork here. Now, if you know anything about Osprey, Osprey basically started their publishing career making military reference books, and if you've been a wargamer for the past 40 years, you'll no doubt have a large selection of Osprey books in your collection, because these historical books are filled with dozens and dozens and dozens of illustrations of what uniforms look like or what they were meant to look like, along with lots of historical information, all done by historians, and very well done as well. So the artwork is phenomenally good. This is laid out very similar to another game from Osprey called Reality's Edge, which is a cyberpunk game. It's not as thick as Reality's Edge, but it's still quite a thick game, coming in at almost 200 pages. Okay, so assembling our crew, right? So you don't need very many figures for this game. You only need probably about 10 figures per side, because that's the cap on the actual crews. Maybe more if you're using general mooks for your bad guys, but for your crews themselves, you only need 10 figures. You have your captain, who is the person who represents you, and here we go, creating a captain. So we have his background, and you create your captain, and then you create your first mate, and then everybody else is recruited. So you have like an engineer or a hacker or a medic or a psychic, that kind of thing, which we'll get into in a moment. Okay, so different backgrounds for your characters. These are very important because they give you different modifications and core powers that your character will have. Okay, so you've got a biomorph. Okay, so this is someone who's been genetically enhanced, a cyborg, which speaks for itself, someone with bionics or cybernetics. We have a mystic, someone who's able to use mystical powers. We have a robotics expert. We have a rogue, which is basically someone who is a Han Solo style character. A psionicist, who's someone who uses psionic manipulation. A techer, who is someone who uses tech and is very good with technology. And a veteran, who's probably like someone like a they've fought in quite a lot of wars during the fall or what have you. So each of the people that you choose for your captain has stat modifications. So the techer was +2 on his willpower and chooses 2 of the following things. You can have +1 fight, +1 move, +1 shoot, +1 health, and then has his core powers: anti-gravity, projection, dare to jump, dare to knock, dare to skip, drone, electromagnetic pulse, holographic wall, transport. And if you look at him, compare him to the veteran has +1 fight, +1 health. Choose one of the following from +1 move, +1 fight, or for a total of +2, and +1 shoot. That's because I like shading on the letter O. And then he has armory, command, coordinated fire, energy shield, fortune, power spike, remote firing, and target designation. Now, all these things go onto your sheet. You write down what you've got for your character, and each one will be individual. So you choose your powers, what your character's powers are going to be, and then we have the stat line. Okay, now this is the most important part of the game at the moment, but we need to know. So just taking a sip of tea there. Okay, so every figure, whether it's an alien creature, a captain, a big robot, whatever, all has a stat line. And the stat line consists of these things here. You've got M, F, S, A, W, H, which is move. That's the speed of the figure, and that's how far it can move per turn. You have fight, which is the figure's hand-to-hand combat and its ability to avoid incoming fire. so it's also used as your dodge. You have shoot, which is your figure's skill with projectile weapons. I think that might also work with psionic abilities and things as well, but I'm not sure until we read further. Then you have armor, which is how much physical protection the figure's wearing. Will, which is your willpower, which is determination of courage and ability to work with technology. And then you have your health, which is how much physical damage they can take before they die. Another nice looking picture here. This guy's obviously a mystic. He's got 3 balls levitated in the air, and he's got a staff. He looks like a space monk, a little bit like the guy from Star Wars Rogue One, whose name I can't remember, who was played by Donnie Yen. Okay, so stat modifications. So before writing your captain's stats on the crew, refer back to the description and you can add plus to these different skills. Okay, so your starting movement is 6, so you start at 6 inches. You've got a fight of +3, you've got a shoot of 2, armor rating of 9, you've got a will of +3 and health of 16. That's your basic stats without any modifications. Now, as it says, you get +1, +2 if you just turn back on this page here. So taking this character here, he gets +2 to willpower and then can choose 2 of the followings. So he can have +1 movement, fight, shoot or health, and this guy gets +1 fight, +1 health, and then 1 of the following. So you got swings and roundabouts. This guy will have can have a higher stat rating than this guy, but this guy will get more powers than this guy. Okay, right, so split the stats. Some circumstances necessary to record 2 different stats for each one stat. Different values for one stat. This is called a split stat. So this will be indicated like a +2 stroke +3. In cases, the first number is the actual stat, the second number is the effective stat. Okay, we'll come to that when we actually read about it. Then you've got your level for your captain, your gear for your captain, and then next step is create a first mate. Now, captains and first mates are the most important members of your crew. Your crew are hired, you recruit them, and you can change them from battle to battle. If you're playing a campaign mode, I think it's going to be really advantageous to actually invest in a good first mate as well as captain. Right, so first mates start at level 0, your captain starts at level 15. Right, so that's explained in the campaign thing. First mates have gear, they may choose it from the general equipment list, the same way as the captain can. And the first mate, he's got a movement 6, which seems to be the standard movement, +2 fight, +2 shoot, 9 armor, so it's slightly less, +2 wounds and 14 health. Sorry, willpower and then 14 health. Then you've got your recruiting soldiers, and then here we have the kind of soldiers you can recruit. So you have standard soldiers, specialist soldiers who you can recruit, the gear, and robots as well. You can use robots in the game, and then you can have temporary crew members who are not a full part of your crew. So your crew is limited to 10 permanent members, 1 captain, 1 first mate, and also 8 soldiers, but you can buy temporary crew members as well. They won't take part in any campaign, they don't get any experience, because basically they'll go up in experience if they're a normal crew member in a campaign, but if they're a temporary crew member, they just leave at the end of the battle. Okay, more great artwork. I love this picture. Okay, so you've got your general equipment list, you've got your deck, filter mask, medic kit, picks, weapons, so unarmed, knife, hand weapon, pistol, carbine, shotgun, rapid fire, grenades, fragmentation, grenade smoke. Right, now, as you notice here, none of these are have any stats on them at the moment, because each thing's going to be armed differently. Grenade launcher, flamethrower, then you've got different armors from light armor to heavy combat, shield, and then you've got your armor summary and your armor table. Love this picture, this is cool as well. He's going to be something similar to my mining crew. I've got part of my crew, I've got squats or space dwarves. This is one of my captains. I've also got another couple of crews that I'm going to be running when I actually get around to playing the game with my friends. And then the rules. So you set up your tables, select your table edges, initiative. So the way the turn goes, it's as far as I'm aware, the first thing you do is you place your loot tokens. So the whole object of the game is to actually loot things so you can progress and keep your crew afloat, rather than go out and have epic battles, because there's only a few of you. So if you imagine the TV show Firefly or the movie Serenity, it's very, very similar to that, where each week you're pulling off a different mission. So it could be a heist, or it could be you're searching for some data stack or something. Okay, so you place your loot tokens around the table, and then we have our turn. So it's initiative. At the beginning of the turn, players roll a die. Player rolls the highest, goes because the primary player, and then it keeps on going like that. Then your phases. So each turn is divided into different phases. You got your captain's phase, first mate's phase, soldier phase, creature phase. So captain's phase, the turn begins. Captain in the primary player's primary player's team activates their captain and up to 3 soldiers of their choice. That started within 3 inches of the captain and in line of sight of the captain, and then they go off and do what they need to be done. And then the first mate does the same thing in this phase, and I think he can activate 1 player. He can activate 3 soldiers of his choice. So if you've played the game, to be absolutely honest, I haven't played Frostgrave. I don't own it, so I've not read through it. I've seen the miniatures look lovely, and the artwork in the game looks fantastic, but I haven't actually played Frostgrave. This seems very, very similar to Another Glorious Day in the Core. I'll leave my link to my review and the video down here, or up here, depending on what YouTube will let me do. In that you have captain and a lieutenant, or a sergeant and a lieutenant, or captain or corporal. Your 2 highest ranking officers can assign actions each turn to up to 2 or 3 characters, depending on what they are. Then you have your soldiers phase, your creatures phase. This is when the turn ends with the creatures phase. During this phase, all uncontrolled creatures such as alien monsters and pirates are activated in a manner specified by the rules. Creatures that are members of a crew, either temporarily or permanently, count as soldiers for this purpose. So if you've got things like trolls or orcs or I don't know, a Wookiee in your crew, they act slightly different. So you've got activation, you got your group activation, and then making your stat rolls. So when you make a stat roll, you have a target number, which is equal to the difficulty you need to attempt, and it's normally written like make a willpower target number 16. In these situations, the player rolls a die and adds their appropriate stat to it. If the total is equal or greater than the number, it's succeeded. If it's less, it's failed. So not too difficult to do. You got automatic successes. An automatic success is a roll of 20, and an automatic failure is a roll of 1, which is pretty standard for combat games. Okay, so our movement, figure facing, they're facing all directions and can turn to face any direction at any time. That's because they're people. They can, you have a peripheral vision. You can look behind you, you can spin round on the spot. You don't need to actually get a template out to turn yourself round 180 degrees because there's somebody coming up behind you. So first look at some of our miniatures. I'm positive these are painted by Kev Dalmore, who is absolutely brilliant, or Dallimore, who is actually brilliant at doing these kind of things. He does a lot of stuff for Crooked Dice and the 7 TV productions. Amazing artist. More great artwork. Okay, you have to forgive the noise in the background. Every time this is the only chance I've got to do the video today, and I wanted to get it out soon, but the washing's on. Okay, so all the different things that affect your movement. Okay, so you've got movement off tables. You can be forced off table, but you are pushed. Yeah, if you go off the table legs, you're out of the game. And you've also got run for it. So basically, you can make an immediate. If you run before you take any actions, you can move up to 3 inches. Okay, jumping, falling, and swimming. combat. Here we have our little box out at the bottom. Maximum armor. Maximum armor stat that any crew member can have is 14. If any combination of gear bonuses or modifiers would take that over 14, it's treated as 14. So 14 will be like power armor with a shield or what have you. Great picture there of a cyberdog and a veteran. And then here we have multiple combats. So we've got 2 people from Team A against one person from Team B, and then how it works. Let's have a look. Here, if either A1 or A2 spends an action to attack B1, they will get a +2 modifier because there's another member of the warband in combat. Simple. Okay, multiple combats, lots of different examples there. How we shoot, again more great artwork. And then modifiers to shooting, shooting into combat, shooting with a flamethrower, so elevated shooting, cover, throwing and firing grenades. Then you've got your critical hits, weapon jams, damage and stun. So weapon jam, when you roll a 1, that can be pretty nasty. You can either run out of weapon, ammunition, or your weapon could be jammed. So when your figure takes damage from combat, shooting or other sources, the amount of damage is subtracted from the figure's current health total. If this takes them down to 0, they have been killed, or less, they have been killed and should be removed from the table. If it's a campaign, they may not actually be dead, but certainly out of the current game. So basically you'll get the chance to actually roll for them to come back. They might have a cybernetic part or something. Okay, so what happens to wounded characters, toxins, powers and how to use them. Success and failure. Exertion, so after you've been activated you can choose to roll for the captain or the first mate. They can exert, which means they're pushing themselves, and it may trade its health to increase an activation roll on a 1-to-1 basis. So if the captain or first mate fail their roll by 3, they could take 3 damage, the power will still activate. So that'll be alright, that's quite good. Then strain, because powers take it out of you. Power move, cancelling powers, targeting figures in combat with powers. And then collecting the loot, you know, is this a creature in combat? No. Yes. Is there a crew member in line of sight? Yes, no. And then you just follow what steps they go through, and then target point on a random movement and end in the game. Right, so basically your entire game is what? The entire rules are about 33 pages, and then we come into the things like the campaigns. So what happens when your characters die or get injured? More artwork. So you can lose toes, smashed leg, crushed arm, lost fingers, not quite as strong. For psychological scars, lingering injuries, smashed jaw, lost eye. All cool. Levels of experience. So it gives you achievements for various things. So like if you go up in a level, so your figure's new level, you get a lower activation number for your powers, and then level 2, 12, 22, 32, 42, 52, etc. So every 10 levels after level 11 you get to improve 1 stat. Stats have a cap of what the maximum is. You can lower activation number again, get a new power. So you're basically getting stuff every 3 levels, something like that, every 2 or 3 levels. Without actually sitting down and working the math out, I couldn't rightly say exactly how many you get. So again, we've got more excellent artwork of the miniatures. Now there are, as I said, this game is a miniatures agnostic game, or a miniatures free game. You can play with any miniatures, but Osprey, in conjunction with Northstar and another company, I think, or it might just be Osprey on themselves, I've done a range of plastic miniatures and some resin miniatures as well. The plastic miniatures, which I'll have a review of very shortly once they arrive from my Kickstarter, are a set of 5 sprues in a box that make up 20 miniatures, like 4 figures on each sprue, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of different things that are combinations. So you've got arms and heads and weapons and backpacks and grenades and all sorts of things. Okay, so that's your loot. Credits, information, secrets, trade goods, and advanced weapons. And then different things on your advanced technology. Ablative armor, anti-grav patch, anti-toxin, loads and loads of stuff. Right, and then more fantastic artwork. Okay, and then how you spend your loot, right? So you can buy new soldiers. You could buy a new captain if your captain dies. You could buy a new first mate if your first mate dies, or most likely you're going to be recruiting soldiers, or you're going to be improving your ship, or what have you. Now, ships do actually come into play in the game, which will lead me on to another point in a moment, but it's a good idea to have something that you can use to represent a spaceship, or crash spaceships, or transports, or what have you. So what I'm going to be using is there's a computer game that came out for the PS4, the Xbox One, and for PC, and then eventually it came out for the Nintendo Switch, called Starlink. And it's a bit like if you've ever played Infinity or Skylanders, or the Lego game. You have a toy that's about that big, and you plug it onto a contraption that connects to your computer or your console, or your controller, and what you do with that toy reflects in real time on the screen. Not bothering about the game too much because my son's going to be playing with the game, but what I am going to do is use the ships, because the ships look phenomenally good for this, and now they're down to like £3 from the works. Again, I'll leave the link in the description. But you can only get them online, you can't get them in stores at that price. They're more expensive. Okay, so balancing your scenarios. So if you've got a level difference, it gives you a number of rerolls. Brilliant, that's fantastic. So if you're playing against a veteran, you get 3 rerolls. More great artwork. This is the same colour scheme that I'm doing my robots in. Powers. So you have each power has its own descriptions. So you have the name of the power. Is activation. Strain is how much damage the activator uses if it's successfully activated, and category and a line of sight, whether it leaves line of sight or it doesn't. Okay, so adrenaline surge. Let's just have a quick look at one of these, like bait and switch. Okay, so activation is 12, strain is 2, so 2 damage, line of sight, so you need to have line of sight on it. This power may only be used against a soldier carrying a loot token. That figure must take an immediate will check at target number 14. If failed, the figure immediately drops the loot token, and the activator may move it up to 4 inches in any direction. So you can make somebody drop something whilst they're moving. It's just quick. So lots of different powers. Again, more great art. Alien that looks very much like a toe, because this takes from lots of different games and lumps them all together and makes it so it's quite simple to play. You know, this is the kind of thing that I've been waiting for a long time. Right, and then we have our scenarios. So you've got 10 random scenarios. So 10 scenarios, but you can randomise which scenario you're playing. So you've got a box deal and salvage crew, steam vents of the Undercity, data vault, a sky mine, broken fence, starport raid, derelict warship, the overgrown factory, and fire moon. Right, those are the 10 scenarios that are in here. I'm not going to go through those because people may want to actually play them. Well, they will want to play them, I imagine. Just get past all those. Right, so, and then we're going towards the end of the book now, but we get to our bestiary, which is all the different monsters and creatures that we can have. Right, so got the name of the different kind of creatures here. So if we roll for a random encounter and get a 5, we get a Shangri-La, which I have no idea what that is, but we may find it in a little bit. Unwanted attention table, and then creature list. Right, so here we go through this. Lots of different kind of creatures, drones, and then this is, so these stat lines. So basically, you can get something like here we've got a magmite. Diverse creatures that live in volcanic environments. and I've got a Magnite knocking around somewhere. I just don't know where I put it. So for that, I'm going to be using my bromites from my brain's gone. But Beyond the Gates of Antares, because they fit in perfectly. Pirate Troopers, Primitives, you know, Pirate Shock Troopers, robots. Okay, so a Shengrilla is often called the Crazy Monkey. It's a primate-like creature that stands about half the height of a typical humanoid. It's characterised by its 3 glowing eyes that exhibit a crazed look and a pair of prehensile tails. Cool. And from these you can actually make your own. It's quite easily, I would imagine, just looking at all the way the stats work, to make your own creatures. Obviously you need to agree with your opponent when you're playing. So you've got attribute lists of what they are for the creatures, and then this creature never suffers any penalties from being wounded. And then here we have the miniatures painted by Kev Dallimore or Dave Woodward, depending on which miniature it is. And all the terrain is Gale Force 9. And the photography is by the guys at Wall Games Illustrated and Kev Dallimore. And the interior artwork is Helge C. Belzer, Michael Gregore, Sam Lamont, and Paolo Pugliani. Can't read it. Can't pronounce it. I don't want to butcher it. Okay, so these are your roster crews. You need to fill this in every time you have your battle. So you've got your crew, so your ship name, ship upgrades, and your ship's hold. What's in your ship's hold? Then you've got your captain. You put all his bits and pieces in there, his powers, and then other gear and notes. So like if he's got like a heavy machine gun or a laser pistol or a laser sword, you put all that details down there. The first mate, same again, and then your crew. And you have up to 10 on your crew. Then we have various cards which you can photocopy and use and attach them to your characters. And then finally at the back we have our templates. So we have our Flamer template, and then Smoke and Psionic Blast templates, and a quick reference. Okay, so one thing that I didn't mention, which I should have mentioned, is that each model has actions. You have 2 actions normally per figure per turn, so you can do the combination of like move and fire, or fire and move, or go for cover, or prime a heavy weapon and stuff, similar to many other games nowadays, like Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion, I think Warcry is the same from Games Workshop, all very similar. Lots of games have the 2 action thing on it. So activate a power. Some powers will cost more than 1 point to activate. Picking up loot tokens, dropping off loot tokens, and that kind of stuff. And that appears to be the end of the look through. That's just a quick look through. I've got a full review coming onto Gamers Web as well of the game. If you like the look of this, I'm going to be setting a wee competition to win this copy. It's not been game with. It's only been opened to actually look through this for this review, because I've got my other copy coming from the next data that was a birthday present of my beautiful daughter. So I'm going to pass this on to somebody else, so someone else can get into Stargrave, and I will set the competition very shortly. So please keep your eye on Gamers Web and keep your eye on the YouTube channel, and if possible, please support the channel by subscribing. Leave me a like if you like this review or this look through. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike, you know, but try and comment if you can, because it's always good when you receive feedback, either positive or negative. If it's negative, you can learn from it. If it's positive, you know you're going in the right direction. Okay, so that's the look through out of the way now. Quickly, I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I'm going to be using with this. Okay, welcome back. Right, so just quickly to round out the end of the video, this is just some of the examples of what I'm going to be using. This is a 3D printed miniature that I got for free. If I can find the link, I will leave it down below. This was advertised on Facebook on one of the 3D printing forums. He's going to be my commander. He's going to be basically, this is going to be a like an Imperial guard from Star Wars. That are like elite units type thing. So he's going to be my captain for that. And then I've got these 3 guys who are going to be his honor guard. These are taken from War Machine. They're just miniatures that I had lying around in my box. They've been sitting there for, God, probably about 5 years. It can be much longer than 5 years because these are plastic, and the plastic ones haven't been out for too long. But they've just they're ready for a lick of paint. They've just been base coated, and that's going to be one of my units. I don't know whether to use them as a. I'm not going to be using them as a crew. I'm going to be using them as bad guys. This is also going to be one of my guys. I just need to zoom out slightly so you can see him because he's quite big. But he's one of my robotic units that I'm going to be using. Quite like him. And if I actually stand him next to one of these guys, and these are quite big figures, you know, he actually dwarfs these guys. As you can see, he's much bigger. Right, so again, that's my quick look through Stargrave. Available now from Osprey Games. I highly recommend the game. One second, just zoom back out. Or maybe not. Right, okay, so that's my quick look through Stargrave. It's available right now as of the 29th of April, and I highly recommend this. Really good game. It looks like it's going to be fun to play, and the fact that you can just use whatever miniatures and terrain and stuff you've got lying around makes it that much easier to actually get into. You don't have to be specific with your miniature units and your captains and what have you, and it's not what you see is what you get, which is really good. I got this copy off Amazon, but I've got my Kickstarter coming, and as I said, this is going to be given away in a competition. You can get this via Nick over on Northstar Games, Northstar Miniatures, sorry, which I will again leave a link to in the description below. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I expect more Stargrave content coming on Games Web very shortly, and my full review. Until then, no matter where you're in the world, please take care and stay safe, and keep on gaming, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks, and goodbye.